if you don't know what's going on, we are going live to talk about Remi's new No-Shout challenge, No-Shout Parent Challenge. As you know, we are in quarantine times, Corona times, and some of us have had a handle on parenting. We haven't had to deal with our kids for long periods of time, mostly maybe on the weekend, but during the week, they're usually at school or at daycare or, whatnot. And so this is the first time that many of us has had to be confined with our kids for so long. And with everything that's going on with the coronavirus, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of tension. It can bring up some feelings, and it could cause us to react in ways that we normally may not react, or it could cause us to do more negatively than we want to. And sometimes, not sometimes, it is just hard to kind of cope and find new coping skills in a situation like this. None of us have ever had to deal with this before. I joked with a friend that my friend said they didn't teach us this in therapy school. They missed this course, how to handle a pandemic. So it's like some of us are just kind of like trying to keep our head above water, and some of us feel like we're sinking. So I'm just so thankful that Remi is here with us. She's a positive parenting coach, and I just appreciate her reaching out and wanting to do this, and just even doing the challenge is so needed right now. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So before we get in,
up for just
with
whatever we come up with.
I know we are like, if y'all don't know, we are like bosom sisters. We've never met in real life, but we've known each other through Instagram for a couple of years now, and we just kind of always seem to be on the same page on the same line. So it's just awesome. For those of you who are joining and don't know who I am, my name is Desiree Ofori of Sincerely Mrs. Mommy, which is a mom lifestyle blog, platform, podcast, where we talk and share tips and advice and inspirational stories about motherhood, about marriage, about womanhood, sprinkled with some grace and like grace to parent. And we just try to be transparent and real and talk about and share, things that we go through as women in all these different roles, and use it as a way to like inspire and encourage each other to keep pushing forward. And Remi, you can go ahead and say who you are.
Yay, thank you. Thank you so much, Desiree, for having me. Always fun to come on here and just chat with you. So my name is Remi Makanjoula. If you're seeing me for the first time, I am a positive parenting educator and coach. I'm also the founder of Grace to Parent, and Grace to Parent is a positive parenting platform where we really try to do three things. The first thing is to help you parent with joy, which is, for me, the most important thing. Is where you start from. A lot of moms are just deep in the trenches, motherhood, you seem lost, and you're just kind of going through the motions. So there's no real, a lot of times it doesn't feel joyful. It's like, oh, the best job in the world. And then, but why do I feel so exhausted? Why do I feel so sad? Why don't I feel happy? Why do I feel more stressed than joyful? So we try to help you to parent with more joy. And also the next thing is to help you build strong and sweet relationships with your children, because that's really the foundation of everything that you can teach them. Anything that you can, whatever it is that you want to teach your children is on the other side of a good connection with them. Okay. And the third thing that that we do at Grace to Parent is lead your children to Christ, to help you, to give you the tools that would allow you to lead your children to Christ. If you're a believer, I believe that it's your responsibility, not the Sunday school, not the pastor, not the not it is your responsibility as a parent to lead your children to Christ. And so we provide tools in forms of devotionals and just resources that help you present Christ to your child in a way that they would want to follow him.
Awesome. And if you guys are not familiar with Remi, she's actually been on Sincerely Mrs. Mommy's blog and the podcast before. So she's no stranger to the Sincerely Mrs. Mommy family if you've been rocking with us for a while. And she just always brings practical advice in a way that just makes you kind of, I don't know, the best way that I can say it, just I always leave with my head feeling like tingly, like my brain is like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. It's just very insightful and very encouraging, never in a like, well, you should be doing this, like never in a demeaning way. And I just so appreciate her style and the practicality of what she shares with us on how to parent with joy, because I know that none of us want to like dread parenting our kids. We want to enjoy it. You know, our kids are a blessing, and we don't want to always feel like, God, why did you give me this? So that's so awesome. So Remi, right now you have a challenge going on, the No-Shout Parenting Challenge. Can you share with us a little bit about what that is?
Yes, so No-Shout Parenting Challenge is it's a I wish I had a different word than challenge, but it's an opportunity. Okay. It's an opportunity or an invitation to parents to go 3 days without raising their voice.
3
3 days.
days.
3 days.
Oh,
3 days. 3 days is all I'm asking. 3 days. Let's try it. Let's see
okay.
how it works. So it's an opportunity for you to go 3 days without raising your voice. But not just that, it's deeper than that. It's almost like a workshop. It's almost like a course. It's almost like it's a deep dive, to understand why you're shouting. So the first lesson started today, which is why you're shouting, to understand what is the reason why you're shouting. There's one reason why you're shouting. And I'm not going to tell you here tonight because I want you guys to join the challenge. It's 100% free and it's online. And if you join tonight, the doors close at 12 midnight. Eastern Standard Time. And so, but if you join tonight, then you get the lesson tomorrow. And I've had like literally hundreds of emails this just the whole of the day just pouring in, and people just like, oh my God, I never knew that was why I was shouting. Like this resonates with me. I connect with this. This is like just a big aha moment for me. And so it's an invitation for you to not raise your voice at your kids for 3 days, and I give you the tools. The first lesson is to know why. Why are you shouting? What is the reason why you're shouting? Because we all know how we feel when we shout. We know how we feel when we lose control. We know how we feel when we punish. We know how it feels, and it doesn't feel good. Okay, but if it doesn't feel good, then why do we keep doing it? So there's a reason
Right.
why. So it's important to know that reason, because that reason then would help you understand why shouting doesn't work. Okay, why it doesn't work. The why it doesn't work is closely related to why you're shouting. The reason why you're shouting is exactly like it just flows into, it tells you why your shouting wouldn't work, and you'd be like, oh, that makes sense. So the second lesson is talking about and helping you to understand why your shouting isn't working. Why do you have to, when you shout, you keep shouting, and when you start shouting a little, it almost seems like it escalates, because you can't, your child, it's like they get used to that, decibel of noise, and you have to take it up a notch and take it up a notch and take it up a notch until you're completely out of control, right? And the third part of this No Shout Challenge is now giving you the tools of what to do instead of shouting, because I found out that a lot of parents feel hopeless. They feel powerless when they can't shout at their kids. They're like, so what am I supposed to do now? What am I supposed to do now? How do I get them to listen? How do I get them to
Right.
stop? And so that's what the challenge is about. It's just, it's really, it's an opportunity, like I said, and it's fun to do the inner work, to dig deep and really understand what is behind the scenes of this negative pattern. What is behind the scenes of this negative behavior? Because your child misbehaving is definitely negative behavior, but you being out of control, you not showing self-control, you shouting and screaming and just, sometimes you shout from your belly and you feel it. You don't just shout
Mm.
with your mouth, like you shout with your being. And you're just like, oh my God, that took way too much out of me. You know, why
Yeah.
do I have to do that? You know, so it's just helping you really get a taste for, again, why you're shouting, why it doesn't work, and, you know, getting some tools on what to do instead of shouting.
Okay. So one thing that I did read part of lesson one, and it was like you said about, and if I'm looking off to the side, I'm looking at my computer, referencing, but like you said, the first question is like, why do we shout? So do you mind using me as an example? Do we can we make me a guinea pig so they kind of know what to expect, and I'll be brave if that's okay with you.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So why do you shout? Why do you think you shout?
um, I think, and if you guys can relate to what I'm saying, like throw some hearts up there or a thumbs up, like yeah, I get it, girl. Like me here, me too. So I know I'm not alone. Um, One of the reasons I feel like I shout is because that's something that I grew up with. Like I grew up with, and not throwing my parents under the bus or my mom under the bus or anything like that, but it was like that's what I grew up with, the yelling and the raised voices. And I remember my mom used to say, "You guys don't listen. Like I have to act crazy before you would listen and you would do anything." And then I started finding myself kind of doing that same thing, knowing that I did not want to be that way, and don't want to I don't want to be that way towards my kids,
Uh-huh.
but because you've grown up with that, it's just something that just becomes like innate. And it's like, so when I get frustrated, I find myself, raising my voice more, yelling if they're not listening, they're not paying attention, especially if you've told them several times in a calm voice how to do something or to do something and they're not doing it, then it's like, okay, like my mom said, I got to get crazy for you to listen. So I think that's one of the reasons why, a couple of the reasons why I shout when I do shout at them. Like that frustration, and because I don't know what else to do, because that's what I've grown up with.
Okay. So do you feel like you shout as a response to something that your child is doing? Is your shouting a
Um,
response to something that your child is doing? Or do you
yeah,
feel
sometimes. I think it's like coupled with like if I'm already feeling frustrated about something else, which I've become more insightful about that I think the last couple of years. My oldest, for those who don't know, I have two boys. Samson, he'll be 5 in June, and then my youngest one, Kingston, he's a year and a half. So, um, it comes from like either if I'm like really frustrated, especially now with the pandemic, they're home more often. If I'm trying to work on stuff, then it's like, just give me a minute. And then they still keep coming. It's like, but I said, just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. And then I feel bad because I know it's not necessarily them. I know it's because I'm frustrated because I can't do what I need to do, what I want to do. And shouting is going to get their attention to stop.
exactly. So when you shout, so what I hear you saying is, I shout because I want them to do something, and I've told them several times,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't need to do it when you say it calmly, because they already know that you're going to get there. You're going to shout. So they're buying time. You know, it's like,
Mm.
okay, she's gonna shout. It means she's not ready for me to really stop.
Oh.
When she's ready for me to stop, she'll shout. But if you don't shout, then they know that there's nothing, there's no other further instruction coming. You know, this is it, and they get used to that. Right. And one thing that I that
Okay.
I that I always, a picture that I like to paint for parents is when we go out. You know how when we go out with, a little cute little strollers or whatever, and your cute little purse and your kids, and you're matching with your sons, and you're out with all the other moms, and you start speaking, "Oh, Samson, please don't do that. Oh, Samson, please be kind to your friend," you know. And Samson is
Mm-hmm.
like, "We don't do that. We don't play that. I mean, if
Who is
if you
this?
need me," yeah, Samson's like, "If you need me to stop, girl, you know what to do. Like, shout, But you are trying to be like this, calm mom, and you're trying not to lose your
Mm-hmm.
cool, but then your child is doing what they want, because that's not what you do at home. What you're doing, trying to be outside, doesn't match up with what you do at home. And so I encourage parents to do the work that really gets them to learn these tools at home, practice them at home, so that when you go out, you can be true to yourself, because your kids will let you know. Okay?
Yes, they
They will
will.
embarrass you if you try to fake, the calmness. And Sandra says, we've all been
Yeah,
there.
we've all been
Yes.
there. Yes.
We've all been there. They're like, Mom, what's in your eye? Like, what is it? Mom, why are you
Call you out.
blinking? They'll call you out. They'll call you out. So you want to learn to do the work at home, so that when you go out, it's the norm. And you absolutely you can do it. So now let me ask you that question again in a different way. And I did say this in the lesson, the first lesson. I said, describe how you feel when your child, or tell me why you shout, but don't attach it to anyone or anything. So you can't say, oh, I shout because my kids were this, or I shout
Mm-hmm.
because, own your shout. Why are you shouting? Whatever it is, it has to come from inside of you. So tell me why you shout.
Frustration, anger, irritated.
Okay. Anger at what? Irritation at what? Frustration at what?
Angry. I'm trying to think of some examples. Angry. I think a lot of it comes with lack of patience. Like I just don't have the patience. Um, and that comes from I feel like I'm having my own tantrum. Like I told you to stop and you didn't stop. You're not doing what I want you to do. Like lack of control. Like I don't feel like I have control. And it's control. Yeah, it all boils down to control. Control of them not doing what I want them to do, and control of loss of control because I can't do what I want to do. So now there is no control. I don't have control over myself and what I want to do, and I don't have control over them on what
Exactly.
they're doing.
Exactly. So you find that when you do the work, when you dig deep, you find out that the reason why you're shouting has little to do with your child's behavior, actually. Your child behavior is a trigger, but that's all that is.
Mm,
It's a trigger.
yeah.
The real reason why you're shouting has nothing to do with your child. If you think about a person who has a gun, and they get upset. Somebody says something, and they just immediately just boom, shoot. You know, there was something else inside that was bigger
Hmm.
than what that person said.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, when you dig deep, you'll find out that what the person said was it was only a trigger. It only helped them. It only awakened what was already inside of them. And that's the same thing with shouting. If you haven't been to the spa in 10 years because you're a mom, you haven't slept since you were in labor. You just feel like,
Yeah.
gosh, I mean, my oldest is 8, and I'm like, I haven't had a good, you be thinking, I haven't had a good night's sleep for 8 years. And you don't want to listen.
Whew.
Oh, you gonna listen, right? So
You
when
owe
you
me.
think about when you think about it, there's so much other things that are underlying why
Yeah.
you're shouting, why you feel frustrated, why it has, because when you shout and when it escalates, sometimes you're just like, wow, what did my child do, and why am I here? Why is my child on A? I'm all the way on Z.
Mm. Yeah, like
Unrelated.
it doesn't match.
Yeah, it doesn't match. It literally doesn't match. Your temper doesn't match what they did. People have done worse things to you at work,
Hmm.
and you
You
restrain
don't yell at
yourself.
them.
You
Yeah.
don't yell at them because you want your paycheck.
Hmm.
But you don't you know that nothing is gonna come out of it because it's your child.
Hmm.
So it is when you think about it that way, and you realize that it's not the child, it's you.
Yeah.
And then that should motivate you to want to do the inner work, to kind of get to the root of, how do I heal from whatever it is that's inside of me. Whatever it is, it's like a sleeping lion. It's inside of you. It's dormant until your child triggers you, and then it comes out. But it's there. So that lion needs to be tamed. That like whatever is inside of you needs to be healed. You know, it has
Wow.
nothing to do with your child. Yeah.
That's something that you would say that like that they're triggered, because I often say that my kids are my trigger. They trigger is not necessarily what I realize, that it's not necessarily what they're doing. It's not necessarily them per se as human beings. It's just they just know how to push your buttons. And I feel like those who are closest to you kind of know how to do that. And whether kids realize what they're doing or not, I think some of them are really smart. They know what they're doing. But it's up to us, like you said, to tame that within us ourselves. There's a lot of things that we may think. I think of people who are trying to have kids and who want to have children, and they're like, I just want kids, I just want kids. And I'm like on the other side, and I was there, of course. And now being on the other side, I'm like, I would really strongly recommend that you either go to therapy or, you know, just do some really strong inner work, and dig deep and see if there's some issues inside of you that you haven't resolved yet. Because once you have kids, and like somebody said, I think it was Placid Rain, she said that she noticed that sleep deprivation plays a big part on her mood. And like I thought before that I just loved to sleep, but after having kids, I realized like I need sleep, and if I don't have sleep, like I'm kind of like that Snickers commercial. You're like that hangry. You're not you when you're hungry. I'm not me when I'm tired. I'm not me when I'm sleepy, and all those things that normally I could, you know, suppress, that I've been able to suppress over the years. Now, when you have kids, it's easy to lash out to people who are closest to you. Because I guess you just kind of feel like they'll always be there, and they understand, they're not gonna take it personal, but they do, and it does harm. And like I was saying, like people who don't have kids and who want to have kids, I'm like, if you can work on some stuff, because when you have kids, it's just gonna exasperate, you know, whatever that it is. It's gonna reawaken some stuff that you thought that wasn't there, and they're innocent, human beings, and it's unfortunate for them, for us to lash out on them like that. But like you said, there are some stuff that they do tap into that make us react in ways that even afterwards you're probably like, oh my God, like, why did that was so unnecessary. I always tell my son, that's so unnecessary. Like, well, how you're reacting is unnecessary. And then after, like, well, you need to talk to yourself. Well, that's unnecessary.
And you see, one thing that I really like to tell parents is, or rather, one thing that I like to tell my children is a gift that I give them, and I hope that it stays with them for the rest of their life, is nobody has the power to make you do anything. Nobody has the power to make you do it. Nobody can make you do anything. It's always your choice.
Yeah.
So if my son comes and says, and I have three, I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old girl. And if my son comes to me and says his brother, like shouted at him, or his brother, took his toy or something like that, and that's why he hit him, then I remind him, nobody has the power to make you do anything. You chose to hit him. You can't control what he does to you, but you can control how you respond. You can't control the fact that he came to take your toy. You can't control the fact that he knocked down your magnet house when he wasn't supposed to on purpose. You can't control all those things, because it's just going to be so many different variables. People are going to do stuff to you at school, at work, like name it, wherever. Like, I mean, as a child, as an adult, like it's everywhere, right? But you always have, the only power you have is the power of response, how you respond. And I say this to people, like if you were somewhere, and say you were at the mall and you saw this guy, he looked crazy, like you could tell like this person is just not okay, probably had like tattered clothes, he was like smelling, and his hair is in like knots, and you could tell that he hasn't showered in a while, and he came to you and he slapped your face. What would you do? Would you be like, hey, come here. What do you mean? Wouldn't you be like as fast as you can, like run away? Because like that's a crazy person,
Right.
right? So that tells me that you have the power to respond how you want to respond. Because if you didn't, then anyone that slaps you, anyone that kicks you, anyone that hits you, whether they're a crazy person or not, you should respond the same way. But you chose to walk away from the mentally unstable person or mentally unhealthy person because you recognize that this person is actually not well. You know,
Yeah.
this is a crazy person. Why would I get in a fight with a crazy person? You know, so my point is nobody can make you do anything. It's always your choice. No matter what your child does to you, it's your choice how you want to respond. You can respond with empathy, with kindness. You can respond with lack of self-control, with frustration, or whatever it is. You have the power to respond how you want to respond. And for me, it's so important for my children to know that. It's so important for my children to know that, because you just never know what you're going to come with. And the reason why I tell them that is also so they can hold me responsible. And so that's one of the things that I do that kind of puts boundaries around me and how I discipline my children, because that gives them some power to hold me accountable. If I'm telling you that no one can make you do anything. So for example, I tell my son, you're making me angry. You're making me shout. My kids will be like, you said no one can
You
make you
just
do
told
anything.
us.
Yeah,
Right.
so they're like, it's on you. I mean, you're shouting. We're not making you do anything, because nobody has the power to make you do anything. And so that's something that I think parents can also use as a tool that keeps you like within the boundary, right? Is to know that nobody can make you do anything. You have the power to respond all the time. So it's either, a lot of times people shout because they want an immediate response. They want an immediate like solution. But you should be more concerned about the immediate solution as you should be a lifelong change in behavior. So for example, in the United States, we have 18 summers. That's it. 18 summers. By age 18, your child is considered an adult and they can live on their own.
Yeah.
So are you only trying to coast and buy time for 18 years so your child goes out into the world and does whatever they want? Will you still be able to sleep well at night? No healthy, responsible parent wants that. You want your children to graduate from the school of your home as responsible adults, summa cum laude. You don't want them to just get through, because your home is a school. Your home is an institution. So you are pouring into your child, you're molding them so they can become a valuable contributor to the society when they leave your house. But if all you want is an immediate solution, I just want them to stop shouting. I just want them to listen so I can get on with my life. So I can this, so I can that. Then by the time your child graduates from your home, they're now going to the school of life. And life will teach them. And they have tools for those. Correctional facilities are one of them. They have tools for those.
Yeah.
Right? But you can take the time. And what I often tell people that the results you're looking for, you may never get it at home. It may be when your child's an adult, but that should be your goal. So some people are going to be fortunate that their children are going to start listening, or they're going to start doing, or whatever. They're going to start seeing, those results while the children are at home. But some people are not going to see those results until the child becomes an adult. And that's still okay. Both instances are success. So you're not a failure as a mom if your kids are having a hard time. If you guys take 18 years to navigate the journey, if you stay with it and you remain consistent, in positive discipline, you will achieve that result. I met a lady at a book club. She was sharing her experience with her son, who is now an adult and who now runs their family business, a really, really, really successful family business. And she said, look, nobody will believe me when I tell you my son was expelled from almost every single school from like
Wow.
3rd grade He was
Wow.
little when he was starting to be expelled from everywhere. She said she had the principal's name saved on her phone because, okay, what did he do today? Okay, I have to come get him. Okay. But now he is like, well, if you didn't know that story and you met him, you'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
this is the kind of one I want to mentor my son. This is the kind of child I want my son to be. But you don't know what his journey was. But you know
Yeah.
what she said that she did consistently? She said, I never validated that he was like the wrong thing in him. I never when a child is exhibiting like negative behavior, you're telling them, you're not a liar, okay? You will speak the truth. You are when they show you behaviors that is pulling them down, behavior that looks like, you don't label them. You don't acknowledge those behaviors. You don't validate those behaviors. You don't accept those behaviors. You don't give those behaviors power.
Mm.
If your child is doing something naughty, you don't say you're naughty. You separate the child from the behavior. And you're like, I know that deep inside you, there's good. And that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm not going to, um, I'm not going to like use my mouth to confess the negative thing over your life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's how she got her child. Like, that was the journey. That's how she got him to still be a productive or responsible and contributor to the society, is
Mm-hmm.
by just always believing in him, always affirming him, always saying that I know you're having a hard time, but you're not like, I know you're being expelled, but I know that there's good inside of you, and we're going to work together until we find this good. I know that you're angry. I know that you were out of control, but I know that there's good in you. I know that you can do better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so what the whole point of saying all of that is, when you apply positive discipline strategies, which one of them is not shouting, it helps you to you can't do that kind of work if you're not connected. If she wasn't connected to her child's heart, if every time he was expelled in school and she was screaming at him, I'm gonna get home and I'm gonna I'm gonna
Yeah.
he will block her off. He will block her out mentally. He wouldn't even hear her words, wouldn't get into his brain. But because she was always like, I'm not saying she wasn't upset. She probably had a few outbursts, right? But the 80-20 rule, the lifestyle was a lifestyle that was nurturing, was like, I don't care what anybody else says. I gave birth to you, so I know that there's good in you. I don't
Mm.
care what they say about you. I don't care what you think about yourself. Here's what I think about you, and here's what I know God thinks about you. So you always have to be that person for your child. And you do that by connecting with their hearts. And if you're shouting and just always out of control, you're never going to have that access to their hearts. And you need access to their hearts. In 2020, you need access to their hearts. There's so much stuff out there. Like I said, I have an 8-year-old son. My oldest is 8. And they figured out how to search on Google without typing. So even when he couldn't spell, even 2
Mm-hmm.
years ago when he couldn't spell, 3 years ago, whatever, when he couldn't spell, he
Mm-hmm.
didn't need to spell to ask Google questions. All he needed to do was tap the microphone and he can ask Google
Yeah.
anything. Okay, so there's so much stuff out there. There's so much information. There's so much that your child has access to. But you
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to connect with their hearts. You need to
Yeah.
know, you need to know your child needs to see you as a safe place, not a danger zone. They need to know that you're on their side. They need to know that if they went out, say your child was like 16, God forbid, and they went out to a party and they had alcohol, your child should be able to call you and say, Mom, I know this is wrong, but I drank and I can't drive home. Please pick me up. Your
Yeah.
child shouldn't be so scared of what you're going to say, how you're going to react, your outburst, all of this stuff, that they'll rather risk their life than call you for help. But you see, all these things don't happen overnight. And all these things don't happen by default. They happen when your child sees you as an ally, as a safe place. And by no means is this like permissive. This is not a call for you to let your child do whatever they want. No, there's going to be consequences. You absolutely should be firm. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you are a voice of reason and authority in your home, and that shouldn't change. But your delivery should always be with kindness and empathy. It should never be with judgment. It shouldn't be with blame. You know, you should meet your child where they are to help them get
Mm-hmm.
to where they need to be.
Yeah. That's so important, like you said, about them wanting you connecting with their heart and speaking and affirming the good that's in them. I feel like the more that we affirm the good in them is the more they're going to want to be that good. They're not going to want to disappoint you. It'll be more of, I'm going to do right, not because I don't want my, parents to be upset at me and to like yell at me and, chastise me, but it's more like I want to do right because they believe that I'm good and I want to prove them right instead of being on the other side. Like I'm going to prove them right, that I'm going to be terrible. They think I'm bad. Well, let me show them how bad I can be.
And not just to prove to them that they're right, but also how you talk to your child. There's a quote that says, the way you speak to your child becomes their inner voice. So when you tell your child you're no good, you're so
Mm,
stubborn, you're so troublesome, you're just a pain, you're so da 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 da, they start to believe it. After a while, they start to say to themselves, I'm so stubborn. If I'm stubborn, so I might as well be stubborn. Why try to change? Because
mm-hmm.
this is what is natural to me. So they start to believe those lies. And that's why it's so important that you don't value. That's why it's important that you always take a stance and be like, no, I'm not going to validate those things. I'm always going to tell you the truth about who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't care what it looks like you're doing. I don't care if you're like whatever it is that it looks like your child is doing. I don't care. I know who you are on the inside because I birthed you. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's just like when God looks at us, so for me, I'm a very spontaneous person. And of course I'm spontaneous. Like I literally would just be like, hey, Desiree, let's do this, or whatever. Like 3 weeks ago, I planned I had a parenting summit, uh, a 2-day parenting summit with 6 speakers. I planned it in a week, 1 week. 1 week on a Friday, I felt I felt like this was what the Lord was leading me to do. And I called my
Mm-hmm.
friend who was an event planner for entrepreneurs, the lady concierge, and I said to her, this is what I want to do. Can you handle it? And she's like, it's done. And so I hired her to plan a virtual summit in a week. So I know that I'm spontaneous. But
Yeah.
I didn't always think it was a good thing. I used to think it was a bad thing, because all I've heard about when people are spontaneous, they thrive on adrenaline. So
Mm.
I would turn in my papers. I'm the girl that would turn in her papers at like
Yeah.
11:58 and it's due by midnight. I'm the one who is writing like a 60-page essay in like 2 all-nighters when I'd known about it for months,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was me because I'm very spontaneous. I have to be inspired. And when it comes, it comes. I'm just like, all right, let's go. Right?
Yeah.
But I always thought it was something wrong with me because I would procrastinate. I would, it seemed like the whole world was saying planning. You should plan and have a strategy and all those things. All those things are great. But I thought I was broken. I thought there was something wrong with me. But the moment I started to realize, and the Lord said to me, he said, I made you. And if everything I made is good, I made you spontaneous. So I couldn't have made you spontaneous for bad. once I connected to that, I started harnessing that energy. I started harnessing that quality in me. And now it's my strength, it's my superpower. It's the only reason why I could plan a summit and approach speakers with confidence that, oh no, we're going to deliver, because I'm spontaneous.
Yeah.
So I've seen it now that it's my superpower. And that's what you should help your child do. You should help them see that everything that every negative behavior in your child has a positive root. If you think about presidents, if you think about characteristics of presidents, the kind of things, character that makes up presidents, a lot of them are usually strong-willed, right? Another name for that is stubborn. Strong will is a leadership quality in the positive root, right? When you think about your child, a child that whines, that's sensitive, that's just like, oh, always crying, you know, the ones that are just like, oh, I have one of those, you know, I have one of those. But he's also the one who is extra sensitive. He's the one who, when we're leaving grandma's house, is like, I miss you, I love you. He's the one who, when you buy them something, while everyone is saying, oh, thanks mom, he's like, thank you for that blue checkered plaid. It feels so soft, and it's the detail of his gratitude, you know. But he's the sensitive one. So in every behavior in a child that looks negative, there's always a positive root. Always. And the reason there's a positive root, and this is even just like a life lesson in general for us, even as adults, is because...
Can somebody type that in? Because I don't want my phone to fall. Can somebody type that in? Every negative behavior that your child has
has a positive root. You know? And the reason that is because, see, the devil didn't create anything. The best the devil can do is manipulate something that God created and make it look bad. Nothing. He can't create. There's only one creator, and he already created everything, and he said it was good. So that means that everything that looks bad has it's a how do you say that word now? Not a duplicate, but like a fake. You know, it's like a fake.
Like a knockoff.
Like a knockoff, exactly. So stubbornness is a knockoff of strong will. You absolutely want your child to be strong-willed if they're going to succeed in life, if they're going to succeed in business, if they're going to succeed in corporate America. Hello. You know, you want them to be able to stand. If they're going to forget about corporate America, forget about in life. Let's just talk about grade school. If they're not going to be a pushover, they better be strong-willed. You know what I mean?
It's true.
So every negative behavior has a positive root. So before you give into like shouting, or before you give into complaining about something that your child is doing, remember that what the behavior you're seeing is data. It's like doing research. So it's data, and you take that data and you're like, well, if every negative behavior is positive, has a positive root, I need to get to the root of that. I need to get to the root so that I can pull out what is positive. You know, when you think about all the negative behavior, so I when I do like workshops, I have this exercise that I do at this to start, and I say, tell me all the things that right now, and let's do this right now. Let's do this right now. So if you can just put in the comments anything that, just all of those negative behaviors that your child shows, that exhibits. You know, what is it? Tell me. Are they too sensitive? Are they whiny? Are they strong-willed? Whatever it is, you know, tell me. Are they always arguing with you? There's so much back talk, you know, just whatever it is. I want to hear it. A fighter? Okay.
That's my youngest.
Okay.
He doesn't realize how old he is.
What else? Okay. Whining. What else?
Whining.
Who else is there? Tell us what. Crying too much. I love it. Keep going. So we're going to identify the positive roots and what that behavior looks like in the future. Sluggish, okay. What that behavior looks like in an adult, right? Sensitive, okay. So just let us hear. Argue and negotiating, okay. Let's go. gets frustrated easily. Let's go. You know, questions your face. Okay. Whining, struggle negotiating,
Struggle
talking back,
negotiating.
loud voice, not listening. Oh, I love all of this. I love all of this. Hi, Demby. This is my friend, the one that planned my summit, the lady concierge.
Oh.
She's signing on her personal page. Never accepts defeat in
Doing things
games,
at her
hates to
time.
lose. Oh, always asks why. Oh, I love it. You guys have the best kids. You have the best kids. Like, all I'm seeing is like, I'm seeing like leaders. I'm seeing, you know, presidents. I mean, I'm just seeing like, gosh, so much value. Like, you guys, like, bring them to Auntie Remi. Like, bring them. You have the best kids. You know, so let's go back. Let's go back and let's talk about some of them. So Desiree, you said your child is a fighter. You know what a fighter does? Guess who was a fighter? I mean, I don't know her personally, but I imagine that she was a fighter. What's her name? The one that the movie that was out that freed all those slaves.
Oh, Harriet Tubman. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Somebody that stands up to defend people. Fighters don't just defend themselves. Fighters stand up for what they know to be true and right and good. They're like, no, MLK was a fighter. Martin Luther King, he was a fighter.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm going to stand up and defend my people. You know? So why would you want to take that away from him? Now, I'm not asking you to encourage that behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm challenging you to find the positive root and pull it out. Find the positive root and pull it out. Bring it out.
Yeah.
Find that positive root and start to water it. So whenever Samson or Kingston, whoever it is that's fighting, tell them, I see that you're passionate about justice. I see that you like what is right. You don't want to be cheated. You don't want to see somebody else. Like, you stand up for people.
Mm-hmm.
You stand up for yourself. You know, but this is not the way. I see what you're trying to achieve, but let's do it a different way. But you don't want to ever tell them, don't do that. Because when you say stop fighting, don't do this, what they're hearing is, be a pushover. Don't stand up for what is right. Don't stand up for people. If somebody's being abused or being taken advantage of, just look away. Don't fight for them. That's what they're hearing, and that should never be the case. Okay, so let's go to another one. Let's see. I think I went up too far. Let's see.
Someone said it's a great way to look at it. Curls and kids. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I told you guys, you'll be like, oh, wait a minute.
All right. So whining. We talked about whining already because I have one of those. And those are the sensitive ones. Those are the ones that whose wives, if you have a son that's whiny and sensitive, those are the ones whose wives are going to be like, Mom, thank you. Like, you raised an amazing man, you know? Because they think about everything. They're the ones who would, you know, their wife says, oh, they want to take their wife to dinner, and they go and buy the black, not just the black dress, but the one with the diamond crusted round, like, just detail.
Mm-hmm.
Detail. Okay. So crying too much will take the same thing as whiny. They're sensitive. They're in touch with their feelings.
Yeah.
You don't want to take
He
that from
really
your
is.
child. There's too many zombies, grown-up adult zombies that have no respect for emotion. So they go around doing whatever they want, abusing people. There's so many of them walking around. Why would you want to take that away from you? Why would you want? Is that what you want your child to be?
No.
So with all of these negative things that we see in toddlerhood, in childhood, these are like the roots of these things are positive, and they're Like the traits that you want to see in an adult, the positive roots. So you need to find that positive root and nurture it so that the good fruit can grow out of it. Somebody says sluggish. I love this one. That means the child is meticulous. They're meticulous. They're not just anyhow. Like they do things in order. They take their time. All right, we talk about sensitive. Somebody says arguing and negotiating. Oh my gosh, you are raising the next, what's that guy's name? Rockefeller. Or, Madam C.J. Walker. You're raising the next, maybe the CEO of Amazon or whatever. You're raising the next, whoever these people are that go on Shark Tank and get all this money to start their business, because they can articulate, they can tell you 10 reasons why and how it is and what's going to happen, right? You're raising the next, whatever the best lawyer in the world is. The lawyer that wins all the cases for all the people that go there. So that's who you're raising. Do you see now why I said you guys have the best kids? Like, you literally have the best kids. Like, send them over. You have the best kids. You have the best kids. Yeah. Somebody who gets frustrated easily is somebody who wants to make sure that things are done right. They hold themselves to such a high standard. They get frustrated easily because they're like, I should do better. If they didn't care about the outcome and they were just like,
that's true,
haphazard, and they didn't, those coworkers that just like whatever, or the people that
you get what you get.
College where you have a joint project and you get to do all the work because they don't care. You are raising the one that does all the work, and guess who that one who does all the work is? The one that's going to be more successful. So you're not raising somebody that gives up easily. They're getting frustrated because they hold themselves to a high standard.
Yeah.
So you want to find the root of that and nurture it. So,
well, I have a question.
Yes.
So what about when you realize that those qualities that your kid has is very similar to yourself, and you realize that you have, like, your parents or whoever, raised you, squashed that. So now you realize, wait, I'm trying to do the same thing to my child unintentionally, what was done to me. How do you go about parenting them now? It's kind of like you have to, I saw the phrase, which I'm like, I love that, reparenting yourself. Reparenting yourself in order to parent your child. Like, what would you do in that situation?
So that's an easy fix. Simply be who you needed when you were a child. That's all you need to do. All you need to do is be who you needed when you were a child. You know why it's so simple? Because you already walked that journey. You already know the outcome. You already know what it made you. And you don't want that for your child. If you think about it, when you were that child, what did you wish your mom or your dad did differently? What do you wish? How do you wish they had supported you? Do that for your child. Show up as that support for your child. Show up as that support for your child. Be who you needed when you were little, when you were a child. Be that person for your child now. Be that person for your child now. So somebody says, questions your actions. Yes, that is a fantastic trait. It means that you can't just tell them anything. They're not gullible. They're going to research and going to make sure, they're going to verify and validate to make sure that this is right before they commit to it. Of course, they're going to question you. Questions your actions, because they're not gullible. They're not gullible. Somebody says, okay, we talked about whining, strong will, negotiating. We talked about all of that. Talking back. I love this one. Talking back. Somebody says talking back. So Talking back. A child that talks back is a child that likes to be heard. A child that needs some sort of, all children need some sort of positive power. Because if you think about it, when your child is born, you get to tell them what to eat, how to eat it, when to eat it, how much of it to eat, what clothes to wear, where to wear the clothes to, you know, when to sleep, when to wake up. You decide everything. But kids need power. If you don't give them the power, that's when all of that stuff happens. You know, so a child that talks back is a child that likes to negotiate. You know, a child that wants to be heard. So you have to present the opportunity for them to be heard. Right? But let me just help you. I'm going to help you out, Tilly, and just give you a quick tip on how you can stop a back-talking child. You know what they want when they're back-talking? They want you to continue. They love the adrenaline. They love the any kind of attention is good attention, is good for them. You know, any kind of press, negative press, public, whatever it is, they put in front of people, right? And that's how that child thinks. They just want you to respond. So you're saying, you know, take your shoes upstairs. Oh, why do I have to take my shoes upstairs now? Why couldn't I take it back later? This conversation is over. I hear you, you know, and I see what you're saying, and it makes sense, but this is what I want you to do now, and this conversation is over. If you end up a conversation, unless the person is crazy, like mentally insane, there's no the conversation is over. It's over. I'm not talking anymore. It's over. You know,
I've actually said that before. I'm not talking anymore. I'm done.
Yeah, it's done. I mean,
I'm done.
I hear what you're saying. I understand. However, that's not what's going to happen. This is what is going to happen. So therefore, this conversation is over. You know, it's not the time when, you know what happens when kids talk back, you feel bruised, you feel slighted, you feel disrespected. Your pride kicks in. It's no longer about what they did. You feel small. You know, you feel small because it's not the memories of the coworker or your you know, somebody, your high school buddy who's now like the $1 million owner of a multinational company, and you're, you know, trying to make ends meet with your side hustle. All of those things come rushing back when your child talks back. So it's no longer about the child. You start to feel small. Oh, maybe that's why you start to take out, oh, maybe that's why that person looked at me that way. Because you already feel small on the inside. You already feel small. So your child is just a trigger that brings that out. Right? So that's just another tip for you. If your child is back talking, what you can do. But if the child that's back talking is a child that likes to be heard, you know, so engage them in meaningful, useful conversation. For example, you tell them, I know you have something to say, and I really want to hear what you have to say. But you see, I can't hear you when
30 last words that you want to share with us before we wrap it up.
I think that just to reinforce that every negative behavior in your child has a positive root. And so if it has a positive root, then that should buy you some self-control. That should buy you some time to respond with empathy, with kindness. I wouldn't even say respond in love, because some people have been so abused and battered that they think love means like tough love. They think love means harsh love. They grew up in a home where and when I say abuse, I don't mean like the extreme, but you see, sometimes we write that line, right? When we think of abuse, we think of, oh my gosh, no, those bad people over there, not me.
Yeah.
But sometimes the things that we do, we cross that line.
Yeah.
You know, we cross that line. And so know that every negative behavior in your child has a positive root. And if it has a positive root, when you do the inner work to get to that root, you can pour water, fertilizer, you know, nutrients, good soil, and let the the kind of child that you will be proud of in the future grow out of that.
Yeah.
So all of this to say, one of the most effective ways to connect with your child and to find out the root of that negative behavior is by, first of all, responding in empathy. And that means positive discipline. And that means, in practical terms, stop shouting. Stop shouting at your kids. Whenever you shout at your kids, they lose the essence of what you're trying to say. They don't hear your voice anymore. They don't hear your words anymore. They hear your voice. But you need them to hear your words.
Right.
I love this quote by Rumi. This quote says, you speak softly so your children can hear you. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. Speak softly, speak gently, speak, kindly, so your children can hear you. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. Thunder destroys. Same thing as shouting. It destroys. It tears your child apart. Shouting makes adults that need to recover. A lot of adults are walking around, and even me, myself, I feel like there's some parts of my childhood that I'm still recovering from. But you can give your child a gift of a childhood that they don't have to recover from.
Yeah.
There's already so much stuff that's waiting for them in the future. They shouldn't have to be. It's like saying, if you had a parent that was like a multi-millionaire or whatever, and they didn't empower you with the tools. You don't have to pay your children's college tuition if you don't want to. But if you have the means of empowering them with the tools to be able to pay their way and not have any debt, give them that, right? But if you shout at your kids, you're giving them no tools. You're giving them nothing. All you're giving them is baggage. You're giving them student loans, that they have to recover from. So they spend like the first 30 years of their adulthood paying student loans, right? In form of that shouting. That's what shouting sounds like. It sounds like that weight of a loan that they have to recover from. So they don't start living there. And that's why you have so many adults that they don't know what their purpose is. They don't know what, because there's just so much baggage that they have to unpack that came from their childhood. So give your child a gift of an adulthood they don't have, a childhood that they don't have to recover from. And join the No-Shout Parent Challenge. I grace the parent, but it's been really fun. Like, I mean, we've had amazing testimonials, and just I didn't expect the rush of like emails. Like I literally have like hundreds. I'm not kidding. Hundreds of emails of day one. There's still 2 more days. 2 more days. Of people just, what I appreciate that because people are pouring their hearts. Oh yes, thank you. Somebody says, oh yeah, you found it. Raise your words, exactly. Raise your words, not your voice. It's rain that grows flowers, not thunder. Exactly. So give your children the kindness, the empathy. Model the behavior that you want to see in them. Part of being who you wanted, who you needed when you were as a child is being that person for your child now, like giving your child those tools. Don't continue that generational pattern of shouting. It's damaging. It doesn't get better from generation to generation. It gets worse. So that's what I would say about that.
And it's like, we know once you know better, you do better. And for our parents, for our grandparents, great-grandparents, that's what they knew. So that's what they just continue to pass on. But now we can be the generation to stop that and to help our children to become better parents to their own children. And so it's going to be hard, like I said, being, reparenting ourselves and like stopping that. And they may not understand. Your family members may not understand. They're like, well, just do this. This is what I did. You turned out all right. All right. Like you said, are you really all right? Are you really
Right.
all right?
You really are right. We're spending a lot of money in therapy. We're spending a
Yeah.
lot of money in like all these things, unpacking,
Yeah.
unpacking, unpacking, because there's
Yeah.
just so much baggage that we realized, gosh, we came into adulthood with so much baggage.
Yeah. So now that you guys have no excuses. You've watched this or you've listened to this. You have no excuse now. Now you got to do better and join Remi's class. Remi, thank you so much. In order to join the class, what do they need to do? Or the
The
challenge, what do
free
they need to
challenge,
do?
yes. All they
Mm-hmm.
need to do is you can go to that's bit.ly slash no shout challenge. So bit.ly/no shout challenge, or just follow Grace the Parent. It's up there in the link in bio, but it goes down at midnight. So at midnight, I'm taking it down because we have to. The first lesson already went out today, so I'm gonna have to resend it to those who are just joining to make sure that they're on on schedule for what we have planned. So so bit.ly/no child challenge, or just join. Come follow Grace the Parent, and it's right there in the link in the bio.
Got it. And I think I just posted that. Got it. All right. Thank you so much again, Remi. It's always a pleasure as usual.
Thank
And
you.
I joined the challenge. I got in. I got my day one. So so I'm good to go.
I love it.
Like I said, I will definitely be resharing this. This will be up for the next 24 hours, and then I will, download it and re-upload it either to YouTube or the blog. So be on the lookout for that. And just thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm just so excited to see how many people tuned in. I guess this is a good time. Everybody's kind of wind down. I've never really had this much of a great of a response before.
The kids are in bed, so
yeah, and you can focus. So yeah. So again, thank you so much, and you guys enjoy your evening.
Yes.
Bye.